What if the most powerful tool you'll ever use isn't your phone, but your words? Not just any words, the right ones. The ones that land, that stick, that move people, the ones that quietly shift someone's thoughts, stir emotions, and spark action. We live in a world overflowing with content, with noise, with endless messages fighting for attention. But here's the truth most people never realize. The world doesn't respond to the loudest voice. It responds to the clearest one. And clarity starts with one thing: copywriting. It's not about clever slogans or fancy ads. It's about connection. It's about knowing how to translate an idea into a feeling, a product into a promise, a message into movement. Because copywriting, when done right, doesn't feel like writing. It feels like truth, like someone finally said what you've been thinking all along. And when that happens, when your words meet someone exactly where they are, everything changes. This is the skill behind every great email you open, every ad you remember, every book you can't put down. It's invisible, but it's everywhere. And once you learn how to use it, you gain an edge that never leaves you. Think about that. One skill that can increase your income, deepen your influence, and unlock opportunities you haven't even imagined yet. But let's be honest, most people never start. They wait for the perfect moment. They think they need to study more, prepare more, read more before they begin. So they hesitate. And in that hesitation, they stay stuck. But here's something few will tell you. Mastery doesn't come before motion. It comes from it. The only way to get good at this is to do it badly, awkwardly, imperfectly, until one day it clicks. And when it does, you'll wish you'd started sooner. That's what makes this moment powerful. You don't need years of experience. You don't need a degree. You don't even need confidence. You just need a willingness to begin right now with the words in your head and the fire in your gut. Because the secret is you already have everything you need. You just haven't used it yet. Every great copywriter you admire started the same way, unsure, overwhelmed, full of doubt. But they made one decision that changed everything. They started. They picked up the pen when it didn't feel natural. They wrote the bad lines. They struggled through the mess. And in that struggle, they built their voice. That's how it works. You don't find your voice by thinking. You find it by writing. So if there's a part of you that's tired of holding back, if you're ready to finally make your ideas matter, if you're done watching from the sidelines while others get noticed, get hired, get ahead, then stay with me. Because what you're about to learn won't just make you a better writer, or it'll make you unforgettable. You'll discover 7 simple copywriting exercises that anyone can do starting right now that will sharpen your skills, boost your confidence, and show you exactly how to write words that get results. And no, this isn't about tricks or formulas. It's about building instincts. It's about developing the kind of inner muscle that lets you sit down at a blank page and know what to say. That's where freedom lives. When you don't have to wait for inspiration. When you don't have to overthink every sentence. When writing becomes not a struggle, but a superpower. Because here's what no one tells you. The world is full of people with talent, but very few with execution. And that's what separates the dreamers from the doers, the ones who want to create impact from the ones who do. This skill, the ability to use language with purpose, with precision, with power, is the bridge between the two. It's how you make people care. It's how you turn attention into action. And it's how you make sure your message doesn't just land, it lingers. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been waiting for permission, you don't need it. What you need is already inside you. Or what you need is to begin. Because your words have weight. They can build something real. And when you know how to use them, the world starts to listen. Stay with me. The work begins now. And once you start, you'll never look at writing or yourself the same way again. The moment you understand the power of your words, everything changes. Because words are not just a tool, they're a trigger for emotion, for action, for transformation. And copywriting is the discipline of using those words with purpose. It's how you stop people mid-scroll, turn hesitation into urgency, and help someone see possibility where there was once doubt. That's more than writing, or that's influence. But influence starts from within. Before you can move others, you have to first believe in your own ability to do so. And this is where most people falter, not because they lack talent, but because they doubt their voice. Or they think they're not ready. They convince themselves they're not the kind of person who can inspire action. But the truth is, the gap between you and the copywriter you admire is not talent. It's time. It's reps. It's how often they've sat in silence and wrestled with the blank page until something clicked. And that's the gift of copywriting. It doesn't require permission or approval. You don't need a fancy platform, a big audience, or someone else's validation. All you need is intention. When you write with purpose, you begin to communicate from a different place, not to impress, but to connect. And connection is what people are starving for. Real, raw, authentic words that speak directly to what they feel but can't say. That's what great copy does. It doesn't shout, it listens. And here's the real shift. When you begin to master this skill, you stop chasing attention because attention starts chasing you. People begin to listen, not because you're loud, but because you're clear. They trust you, not because you have credentials, but because your message makes sense to them. That's the power of resonance. And resonance isn't built with big words. It's built with true ones. Copywriting teaches you to think differently, to speak in benefits, not features, to lead with what matters, not what sounds impressive. It rewires your brain to look at everything, products, problems, people, through the lens of emotion and solution. What does this person feel? What do they want? What's keeping them stuck? And how can my words help them move forward? Once you start asking those questions, you're no longer writing. You're leading. That's why this isn't just a professional skill. It's a personal revolution. Because when you learn to write in a way that moves people, you become someone who moves the world. And that begins with how you approach your words. Stop trying to sound smart. Start trying to be felt. Stop obsessing over the perfect sentence. Start focusing on the real message. People don't remember polish. They remember truth. The line that hits them in the gut. The phrase that gives them goosebumps. The sentence that sounds like it was written just for them. And guess what? You don't need to be born with that gift. You build it. You sharpen it. You train it. That's what the best copywriters do. They practice, not once, not when it's convenient, but every single day. Not to prove anything, but because they understand the impact of getting one sentence right. One sentence can land a client. One sentence can sell a product. One sentence can change a life. That's the level of respect they give their craft. And it shows. So if you've ever doubted whether your words matter, if you've ever wondered whether this is something you could do, the answer is yes. Not someday. Not if, now, because the ability is already inside you. What's missing is not capability. It's commitment to show up, to try, to write badly until something brilliant shows up between the lines. And when it does, you'll know, you'll feel it because something shifts. Writing stops being a chore and becomes a challenge. You stop dreading the blank page and start chasing it because you're not just writing to fill space anymore. You're writing to make change. You're no longer a content creator. You're a communicator, a connector, a catalyst. That's the identity shift. From someone who writes to someone who moves, or from someone who fills pages to someone who fills minds. And when you embrace that, you start to carry yourself differently. You write differently. You speak differently. You see opportunities everywhere because you know how to express their value in a way that people can't ignore. That's what copywriting gives you. It gives you a voice that cuts through the noise, a message that lands where others fade. It gives you the ability to build belief, not just in others, but in yourself. Because every sentence you write is another step forward. Every sentence proves that you didn't quit, that you kept showing up, that you chose growth over fear. And if you stay on that path long enough, you won't just learn how to write compelling copy. You'll become someone whose words change things, whose ideas move markets, whose message matters. And you'll realize looking back that the most powerful thing you ever created was belief. In yourself, in your message, and in the ripple effect your words would one day have. So write, even when it's hard, even when it's messy, or even when you think no one's listening, because someone is, someone who needs exactly what only you can say. And when you say it clearly, honestly, powerfully, they'll remember. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. There comes a point where learning must turn into doing, where understanding turns into movement. You can read all the strategies, watch every tutorial, and study the masters. But until your hands hit the keys, none of it matters. Knowledge only becomes power when it's used. And in the world of copywriting, practice is the real teacher. The more you write, the clearer you think. The more you try, the more your voice sharpens. The more you show up, the more the skill becomes yours. Not borrowed, not imitated, yours. This is why real growth doesn't come from waiting to feel confident. It comes from acting before you feel ready. Because ready is a myth. If you wait to feel completely prepared, you'll wait your entire life. What matters more is the willingness to begin, the courage to face the page even when it scares you, the discipline to keep going when the words don't come easily. That's how copywriters are built, not in moments of inspiration, but in moments of resistance. The breakthroughs come after the struggle. Most people think they need more time. But it's not about time. It's about intention. A single hour of focused effort can move you further than a week of passive learning. And you don't need the perfect environment or the right mood or ideal conditions. All you need is to decide to stop overthinking to stop analyzing every step, to stop questioning if you're good enough. Because progress isn't about being perfect. It's about being present with the work, with the words, with the mission. And if you feel resistance, good. That means you're stepping into something real. Resistance shows up when something matters. It's your brain's way of protecting you from growth because growth feels risky. It challenges identity. But the moment you stop avoiding that tension and start embracing it, you step into power. You stop being a passive observer of your life and become an active participant in your future. That's the shift that matters most. Copywriting isn't just a craft, it's a mirror. It reveals how you think, how you see the world, how you communicate under pressure. It exposes your doubts, your fears, your inner dialogue. And when you face those things, when you learn to rewrite not just your copy, but your mindset, something begins to shift. You stop writing for approval and start writing for impact. Because at the heart of every great piece of copy is a simple truth. People are searching for answers, for hope, for clarity. And your words can be the bridge between their confusion and their solution. You're not just writing to sell. You're writing to serve, to help someone take a step they've been afraid to take, to give someone the courage to believe in something bigger, to show them what's possible. That's what separates forgettable copy from copy that lingers. It's not tricks. It's not formulas. It's empathy. The ability to see what someone feels before they even say it. The ability to speak into their pain, their dreams, their struggles, and show them they're not alone. That's where connection is born. And when people feel understood, they trust. And when they trust, they act. So don't underestimate your words. They are more than sentences. They are signals. They carry weight. They carry direction. And in a noisy, distracted world, clarity is rare. Honesty is rare. Realness is rare. That's what makes it powerful. Your voice, your real voice, isn't something you find. It's something you uncover by showing up again and again. Writing through the self-doubt, writing through the noise, writing through the fear that maybe none of it matters, because it does matter. Your voice matters, your message matters, and someone out there is waiting for a sentence that only you can write. Not the polished version of you, the real you, the one who's been through something, the one who knows what it feels like to be overlooked, underestimated, unsure, the one who kept going anyway. That's the voice people need to hear, not perfect, but powerful. And when you write from that place, from truth, not performance, you stop chasing results. You start creating resonance. You begin to attract opportunities, not by force, but by alignment. The right people, the right clients, the right chances, they find you because your words carry intention. They reflect who you are, what you stand for, and what you're here to do. That's what mastery really is. Not knowing everything, but knowing yourself enough to speak with clarity, with confidence, with conviction. And that kind of writing, it can't be ignored. It doesn't fade. It cuts through. It moves people. It gets remembered. So write today, not to prove yourself, but to free yourself. Write like it matters, because it does. Write like someone's breakthrough depends on it, because it might. Write not to impress, but to impact, because that's where the real reward lives, not in likes, not in praise, but in knowing your words meant something, that they helped, that they moved, that they mattered. This is your moment. Your voice is ready. Now it's time to use it. Every sentence you write is a decision to either echo the noise or rise above it. And in that choice lies your power, because most people don't write to connect. They write to be seen. They chase attention like it's currency, forgetting that what people crave isn't more information. It's transformation, or something that makes them feel, pause, reflect, act. Your words are capable of doing that, but only when they come from a deeper place, a place not trying to perform, but to serve with intention, with clarity, with purpose. This is why writing with impact begins with writing with honesty. Honesty is magnetic. It's rare, and people feel it instantly. They might not know why they trust your words, but they do. Because there's something in your tone, your rhythm, your focus that says, this is real. This isn't polished for perfection. This is here to help. And in a world full of manipulation, that kind of clarity cuts through like a blade. The most persuasive copy isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It whispers directly to the heart of the person reading it. It speaks their language, their fears, their hopes, their silent frustrations. And it doesn't just offer a solution. It offers understanding. That's what great copy does. It doesn't force. It invites. It doesn't trick. It teaches. It doesn't sell harder. It speaks deeper. And that depth only comes when you stop writing from your head and start writing from your intention. Not just what you want someone to do, but what you want them to feel. That's the shift. because people don't act on logic alone. They act on emotion first. They move when something stirs inside them. When something they read makes them say, yes, that's me. That's what I've been waiting for. So when you sit down to write, don't start with features. Start with feelings. Don't just think about what you're offering. Think about what someone is living through right now. What are they afraid of? What do they hope is possible? What pain are they hiding? When you can enter that space with empathy, you stop sounding like a marketer. You start sounding like a mirror. And that's when your copy becomes unforgettable. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present with the reader. Forget trying to impress them. Be with them. Stand beside them. Let your words feel like a hand on their shoulder, a nudge forward, a reminder that they're not alone and that change is closer than they think. This is the mindset that transforms your writing from content to connection. And this is what most people miss when they sit down to write. They think it's about cleverness, about the perfect hook, the smartest line, the most persuasive trick. But what really works, what always works, is truth spoken with precision. Not vague inspiration, not empty hype, but clear, bold, specific language that says, here's the problem, here's the possibility, and here's how we get there. And that kind of writing only comes from action, not theory, not notes, not analysis, but practice, showing up, doing the work over and over again. Because every time you write, you train your mind to think with more clarity. You start to feel the rhythm of great messaging. You develop instincts, not just for what sounds good, but for what feels right. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. The page isn't a battle anymore. It becomes a channel, a place where your thoughts flow instead of fight, a place where your voice becomes sharp, clean, and unmistakably yours. You can't fake that. You have to earn it. You earn it by writing every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You earn it by staying in the seat, even when the words feel off, because every rough draft is a step forward. Every awkward sentence is progress. And every finished piece, flawed, imperfect, real, is another brick laid on the foundation of mastery. And what you're building isn't just a writing habit, it's a creative identity, a way of being that refuses to wait for motivation, a mindset that pushes through fear, a standard that doesn't need permission to start. You're not just learning how to write, you're learning how to move. Because when you know how to move people with words, you'll never be powerless again. That's the reward waiting on the other side of your discipline. Not just better copy, but a bolder self. Someone who knows how to lead with clarity, who can turn ideas into impact, who doesn't crumble in silence, but creates through it, who faces the blank page with courage, not hesitation, and who understands that the real power of copywriting isn't in the technique, it's in the truth you're willing to tell. So take your seat again. Start the next sentence. Trust that the message is already in you and keep writing until the world hears it. There is a turning point every writer reaches. The moment when writing stops being an effort and starts becoming an identity. It's not a loud shift. It doesn't come with applause. It's quiet, almost unnoticeable, but you feel it. You feel it when you sit down and your mind no longer resists the work. You feel it when you stop questioning if what you're doing matters and start trusting that it does. Not because someone told you so, but because deep down, you know what you're building. You can feel your voice getting stronger, sharper, more aligned. That shift is earned. It's earned by showing up on the days when inspiration doesn't. It's earned by writing when you're tired, uncertain, distracted. It's earned when you stop chasing motivation and start choosing commitment. And that's what separates those who succeed from those who wish. They don't rely on feelings. They rely on action. Because they understand that mastery never shows up overnight. It's built in the mundane, in the silence, in the rewrites and the doubts and the tiny breakthroughs no one sees. And that's what you're doing. Every time you write, even when it's messy, you're proving something, not to others, to yourself. You're showing that your dreams are worth the discomfort, that your voice is worth being heard, that your growth is worth the repetition. You are declaring sentence by sentence that your future matters more than your fear. That level of consistency creates momentum, and momentum, once it builds, becomes impossible to ignore. The more you write, the more your brain adapts, the fog clears, your words start landing with more precision, your ideas unfold faster. You begin to see patterns, to anticipate reactions, to trust your instincts. This is when you stop asking, is this good enough? And start asking, what else am I capable of? Because make no mistake, this is about more than copywriting. It's about unlocking your potential. It's about proving to yourself that you can commit to a craft, sharpen a skill, and become someone who doesn't just talk about growth, but lives it. That's rare. That's powerful. And it becomes your edge in everything you do. The world rewards those who can communicate clearly. It rewards those who can turn complex ideas into compelling words. It rewards those who understand not just what to say, but how to say it in a way that moves people. And that skill, the ability to create emotional connection through language, is timeless. It never becomes obsolete. It only becomes more valuable. But most people never develop it, not because they can't, because they quit too soon. They get discouraged by the early drafts, the slow progress, the lack of immediate results. But what they don't see is that every skilled copywriter started there, with clumsy lines, with awkward phrasing, with ideas that felt small and uncertain. They weren't born great. They became great through repetition, through refinement, through resilience. And you are on that same path, whether you feel it or not, whether you believe it yet or not. Every moment you choose to keep going, you're separating yourself from the majority. You're becoming someone who creates value out of thin air, someone who turns words into action, or someone who writes with so much clarity, so much truth that people feel something when they read you. That's not a surface level talent. That's a deep internal power, and it only grows stronger the more you use it. So keep writing, keep refining, keep chasing the edge between what you know and what you're becoming. Because that edge is where real transformation happens. It's where you stop sounding like everyone else and start sounding like yourself. It's where your writing gains energy, direction, and purpose. And when you write from that place, when your copy reflects your courage, people notice, they listen, they trust, and trust is the currency of everything. Or whether you're selling a product, building a brand, or starting a movement, if you have trust, you have leverage. But trust doesn't come from clever lines. It comes from honesty. It comes from writing with conviction. It comes from showing up consistently, even when no one's watching, because you know that every word is a seed. And one day those seeds grow. They build relationships. They create opportunity. They change your trajectory. That's why this matters. It's not just about learning a craft. It's about becoming someone who keeps their word to others and to themselves. Someone who doesn't just have ideas, but expresses them. Someone who doesn't wait to be chosen, but writes in a way that earns attention. That kind of person doesn't need permission. They create their own path, and they don't hope for success. They prepare for it with every sentence, every exercise, every imperfect attempt. You're not falling behind. You're building something quietly, relentlessly. And if you keep going, one day you'll look back and realize you didn't just learn how to write copy, you learned how to own your voice. And with it, you'll write things that don't just get seen, they get remembered. The most valuable skill in today's world is not knowing what to say. It's knowing how to say it in a way that moves people. Attention is scarce. Distraction is constant. But the right words delivered with precision and purpose can break through anything. That's what makes copywriting more than a skill. It's a force. And when you master it, you stop chasing opportunity and start creating it. Because everything changes when your words carry weight, when they don't just fill space, but create shift. That's what the world responds to. Not more noise, but more truth. The kind of truth that reaches people where they are and leads them to where they want to be. The kind that speaks directly to their experience, not around it. When you learn how to do that consistently, you become unstoppable. But there's a price. And the price is discipline. The discipline to write when it's inconvenient. The discipline to refine when you're tired. The discipline to stay grounded in your message, even when doubt creeps in. Because there will be days where nothing flows. Days where every sentence feels forced. But those are the days that shape you. Not the easy ones. The hard ones. The ones where you don't want to show up, but you do anyway. Because you made a decision long ago that your goals mattered more than your excuses. That's where mastery is built. Not in comfort, but in repetition, in commitment, in the choice to keep sharpening your voice until it can no longer be ignored. That's how leaders are made. They aren't born with the perfect words. They build them through friction, through failure, through thousands of small unseen efforts that the world never applauds, but that matter more than anyone realizes. And here's the truth. Your voice is powerful enough to shift minds, but only if you use it. It's not just about writing the perfect headline or crafting the ideal sentence. It's about showing up with a message that matters, a message that cuts through the surface and goes straight to the core. That's the kind of writing that turns browsers into buyers, followers into believers, strangers into advocates. It's not magic. It's intent. It's clarity, fueled by conviction. And that kind of writing doesn't happen by accident. It's earned through effort, through exercises that challenge you to think sharper, feel deeper, and express clearer. Through daily practice that forces you to go beyond what's easy and write what's necessary. Because good writing informs, but great writing transforms. It doesn't just describe the world. It redefines what's possible inside it. If your words aren't hitting yet, don't shrink. Lean in. Because breakthrough comes on the other side of pressure. If it feels uncomfortable, you're doing it right. Growth never feels like progress in the moment. It feels like friction, resistance, tension. But what you're feeling isn't a sign to quit. It's a sign that you're in the right place. You're not just learning how to write. You're learning how to fight for your vision, for your voice, for the person you're becoming through this process. Because every exercise, every draft, every failed attempt is building something stronger inside you. The courage to say what matters, the clarity to make it land, the commitment to keep improving even when no one is watching. And when you write from that place, from identity, not insecurity, you unlock something that can't be taught. You unlock presence. And presence on the page is everything. It's what makes your words feel alive. It's what makes readers stop, feel, believe, and act. It's what creates results, not because you're louder than others, but because you're truer. And that truth is what makes you valuable in any field, in any market. Because when you can write with clarity and conviction, you become the one who sets the tone, the one who drives decisions, the one who turns ideas into momentum. That's not theory, that's power. And you already have the potential for it inside you. All that's left is the work. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait until you feel ready, because readiness is not a condition, it's a choice. You become ready by showing up, by doing the work, by getting your hands messy with your own process. Stop holding back your words, waiting for the right time. This is the right time. Now is always the moment to rise. And if there's a voice in your head telling you it's too late, too hard, too early, too much, know that's the sound of fear losing ground. It always gets loud right before you level up. Let it speak, but don't let it decide, because something bigger is calling you forward. A voice that's bolder, a message that's stronger, a version of you that doesn't hold back anymore. That version is built one sentence at a time, one session at a time, one decision at a time.